All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the crazy review of X-Men 97. We got your boy Kenny, we got your man SplicedHelix, we got your man SoulBruceLee in the chat. We about to talk the talk and walk the walk with this last episode, which is the final episode of the entire series of season 1 of X-Men 97. Spoilers ahead. I don't think we're gonna get into spoilers like right away, but I think I want to get everybody's initial, I guess, reaction of the series, of what they can remember. Again, I'm not the type that enjoys seeing a series that is you have to wait a whole week to watch, week after week after week after week to watch that. Like what has it been, like 2 months? 2 months for the whole series, I think.
10 weeks.
10
well,
weeks.
no,
10
9
weeks.
weeks. 9 weeks, because the first one was 2.
Bruh, like it's making me crazy. It's just making me crazy. I can't remember everything that that was from each episode, but I do remember all the snippets and stuff like that. So I want to go over as much as we can when it comes to the madness of that stuff. So first impressions of the entire series, I'm gonna say absolute 10 out of 10. It's not even a 9 out of 10. It's not even an 8 out of 10. It is a 10 out of 10. This is the best iteration and the greatest revival of X-Men that we've had since Infinity War or Endgame. I think this is probably going to be considered, if not, it'll be considered either the best project of the Disney adaptation of
Disney Plus era.
Yeah, the Disney Plus era, I guess you could say, of the X-Men, or it will be one of the greatest. At this point, they can't do anything wrong with season 2, because again, the original, I believe, writer is still still has his writing chops for the second season.
He did both.
He did both. He did season 1 and season 2. So I have zero hope for season 3 unless they hire him back. But for season 1 and 2, I think we're going to be in for a crazy ride. We're going to be pleasantly surprised. We're going to see a lot of stuff. But we can't just put everything on him, right? Don't forget that there's a lot of cameos in there. There's a lot of snippets and a lot of Easter eggs and stuff like that. And that puts everything into perspective. That puts everything out in the forefront. And we have an idea of how that's supposed to give us that, that nostalgic kind of feel that we've been missing for so long when it comes to this. So I think that's fine. I think that if he was either, I think he quit, or I don't think he was fired.
They fired him.
They fired. Okay, well, never mind. All right. Well,
they just it hasn't come out why yet.
Right. Okay. Well, aside from his departure, I'd say that. Aside from his departure, I think that everybody that's involved can still knock it out of the park. Unfortunately, there's going to have like corporate heads will probably get in the way. They'll probably see the script and be like, "Oh, we need to change this" or something like that. That could happen. That could still happen, and they could just completely screw up this whole thing within season 2. But I have high hopes that they'll stick to the script. They know they have a gold mine right now, and that they'll make something along the lines of keeping the momentum of this one right now. When it comes to seasons of Disney Plus stuff, how long does it usually take for a season for 1 and 2? So let's look at something like Mandalorian. How long did it take between season 1, season 2, and season 3 of Mandalorian? Like it took like years, right? Like
no,
it was just about a year.
Usually, yeah, it's usually just like a normal TV show.
Okay. So
but it is animated.
But again,
so...
but this is animated. Animated stuff takes forever. Look at let's look at an example of One Punch, right? Like One Punch, it takes forever. Like it's a problem. But I hope that they see the success of this. I don't know what the numbers are looking like yet, but hopefully the success of this will grant them the ability to push out season 2 a lot faster, and we'll get because right now I'm getting I want more. Like the fact that it's over, I'm like, okay, so when's the next season? Like, Like I need that right away. And I'm one of the people that enjoys binge watching, because if I binge watch something, then that way I can absorb everything all at once, as opposed to forgetting certain episodes that happened like 4 weeks ago. So I definitely want to catch up to when season 2 will hit and what they actually have to present, and see what other characters they have. There's a lot of cameos out there that they showed up, but I would like to see those characters, especially with Morph and him turning into all these different characters and stuff like that. I would like to see what they actually, if they actually introduce those characters that he morphed into later on down the road. So it'd be kind of cool. I'm all for it. So hopefully that'll be a thing. Bruce, Kenny, Spliced. Let's start with Kenny. Kenny, overall impressions. What do you think? What's going on here?
Yeah, no, absolutely 10 out of 10. It probably, I think with Andor and this, it's like the best thing that Disney Plus has produced, and probably the best, Marvel stuff that's been, I don't know, best Marvel thing since Endgame.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or Infinity War, best thing right there. It's like all the live action stuff is just pales in comparison to what they've done. Like, and I just hope that they pay attention to writing, like how this show is written and how the characters are written. And,
yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think I noticed that you said X-Force. I'm kind of curious with this success, if this show becomes a success. Again, we haven't seen the numbers yet, but if this show becomes a success in the eyes of Disney, and Disney says, okay, well, let's milk this cow for all it's worth, and they make a spinoff. What kind of spinoff do you think they would work for?
They won't.
Spider-Man 98.
Spider-Man 98. Okay, all right.
Spider-Man 98.
That is
because those shows were all kind of connecting, even though they were in different networks. But I think there was like an agreement, because Spider-Man would show up and Fantastic Four. So
a Fantastic Four spinoff would actually be pretty...
X-Men showed up in the Spider-Man show.
Yeah.
Was it just Wolverine, right?
No.
The whole team.
It was Wolverine,
the whole
Beast,
team?
Rogue.
The whole team.
What the heck? Okay, I didn't. Damn. I honestly, I didn't watch too much of the Spider-Man series. I watched the X-Men series, and then I was all over I was all over the DC stuff. Yeah, I didn't follow too much on the Marvel stuff as a kid. But I mean, even then, they still had like other iterations of like the Avengers and stuff like that in those times as well. So it's kind of cool that that would be the next iteration if they decide to do that. I don't know. That'd be kind of sick if they actually done. Rogue and Spider-Man flirted for a bit. Really? Huh? That's crazy. I would actually like to see that. Okay. Spliced. Overall impressions. What's going on here?
I'm gonna go Roman numerals and do X out of X.
This man.
No, it start to finish, it encapsulated itself. Perfect beginning, perfect ending.
Yeah.
Super shout outs to Bo DeMayo. If they don't bring him back, they're gonna have problem. They'll see on their quarterlies just how much viewership of Disney Plus in general drops while it's off the air as opposed to when it comes back.
Right.
So they'll know what kind of cash cow they have as soon as the numbers come in.
Right, exactly. And again, I don't even think that stuff comes out this early. It usually takes like a couple months or something like that for them to actually see what the heck's going on. That so, yeah.
But as far as like a comic book standpoint goes, it was great. It's great. Like the original took so long to get through a storyline, and this one is taking entire comic book storylines and condensing it into one or two episodes. It's fantastic.
Yeah, that's what I kind of felt like. Some of the parts, in my opinion, did feel kind of rushed because they were like condensing stuff in there, but it actually worked out overall for how that turned out. You know what I mean?
Inferno was a whole ass storyline. Like it was a crossover event. And they did it. Oh, here, Madeline Gray is Goblin Queen now.
Right, and that's like a whole, yeah, exactly. That's like a whole like comic book series and everything like that they put in there just to be able to condense it into one thing. And that's where I guess they didn't have time to put all of it together, like all of it in there as one whole thing. And that's fair. I mean, because you only have a certain amount of time to do that.
I think he wrote it like that. I think he wrote it on purpose so that it didn't drag out like the old one did.
Also, you felt like it was actually a little too much in the old ones?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
it's you take 2 months to go through a storyline. It's like I've lost interest.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Soul, what'd you think? What's going on here?
A couple of thoughts.
Okay.
So it's very rare for me to be emotionally invested in a series, and
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely.
at least nowadays, right? Like being older.
Yeah.
So this definitely got me a lot, especially with the aspect of them being family.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Bro,
And like just growing up with X-Men,
yeah.
Yes, Waze?
okay, so being a newish dad, the Inferno episode where the kid, he Sinister dunked the kid and all the goo, and he started coughing and stuff. I was like, oh no, my heart.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, there's definitely
Yeah.
aspects of this show where it is insanely relatable to a lot of the things that are going on with people even today. So
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
oh yeah, no,
No,
no, sorry, sorry. Yeah, no, this definitely has a lot of the emotional feels that are very relatable to how people are dealing with certain aspects of things today, and I think that's what they're going for. They wanted to make it to where it was something that you could resonate with in order to get the audience to understand what the characters are going through, and that's kind of hard because again they're superheroes, they're mutant superheroes. How do you relate to that? Well, you humanize the characters and allow them to grow within the concept of how do they interact and how do they deal with the situations that they're in that environment, and then you humanize that experience by having them have the conversations that they have in the show, and that's how you make something relatable, and it's been absolutely phenomenal so far. So so you said a couple things, Bruce. What else?
Yeah. Well, to continue off of that point,
Yeah.
like especially a lot of the I really enjoyed the moments with Cable and Cyclops,
Yeah.
and those got me too because Cable's real name is Nathan, and that's my real name too.
Yeah.
So
Name reveal.
Right?
Yeah.
Bro, it's
Dogs.
lies, right? Bruce.
so I really enjoyed that.
That's breaking up.
What else? The pacing, like you guys were just saying, the pacing was like I had this thing where I felt like certain moments were very quick, but then when on a rewatch, I'm like, oh, they actually did give that enough time.
Yeah.
And fleshed out this like moment, and I'm like, I don't know how they did it. It's like RE4, they like nailed the pacing like that, like it's crazy.
Yeah.
What else? And just like the animation, like I don't even know what we were seeing before when we thought it looked janky and stuff. Like,
Right,
it's
it was
amazing
the
how-
first episode. It was like the first two episodes, I think.
I don't even know. Like I go back to that and it looks good now.
Really?
Nostalgia
Okay.
glasses.
Okay,
We were used to all hand drawn, and this is hand drawn over CGI.
Yeah.
So wait, you said so it's hand drawn, but hand drawn over siege. Wait, what?
Yeah, they have the skeletal models for the 3D models,
Right.
and they draw over the cells.
Okay. So does that? I'm pretty sure that makes the work 10 times longer, right? Like
I'm pretty sure it makes it like 50% shorter.
Oh,
I heard
okay.
it was
Oh,
all hand drawn, according to Max, who asked some people's.
It is. It's hand drawn over the 3D models.
okay. I get what you're saying. Yeah, yeah. So that to get that kind of cell shaded look, right? Because it's not even a cell shaded look; it's a classic look. They were able to get that classic look to emulate the style of the OG X-Men that was in '97. And
they didn't like animate any of the characters. Like you won't see like rogue skin and clothes and all that. You'll just see the skeleton frame, and then they drew the animation over those cells
yeah.
to get the how everything looks.
Oh, it's the Jim Lee art style. Okay, I get you. That's how they wanted to do that. Okay, so you know what? Yeah, that makes sense. That definitely does.
To just wrap up, so my impressions. So yeah, back in the day, everyone's like, I can't wait for this to be adapted in live action or whatever.
Yeah.
Now it's the reverse for me. It's like,
Ha!
can we just get more animation, please?
Yeah.
Like, I'm more excited to see how like these stories unfold in animation, especially after seeing the whole series. Because that last episode, without even
Yes.
spoiling, right? Like,
Yeah,
the world's lived in, right? That's that problem we had with the X-Men movies and rights and licensing.
yeah.
It's like, how are all these big events happening, and then
Yep.
so and so is not involved, and it just
It takes
adds
you out.
the world building
It
and
takes you out.
storytelling.
Yeah.
They
It's
actually-
like, how can you top this, right? How can you
Yeah.
top this?
It's gonna be
Hey
rough.
man, and this is the problem that we had with Endgame. Is like they did such a good job on putting something like that together. How do you top it? Now, I will say that if there was a live action version of this, I think it would be just as impactful because it again, we have Endgame, we have Infinity War, we have a good iteration of those things being brought to life, and it came out fantastic. It came out as one of the most iconic stuff. But I think there is a certain nostalgic feel when it comes to the animation that brings us back to those old school moments of the original X-Men, which is great. But I think that seeing those characters come to life gives us a different perspective on how we relate to those characters as well. So, and I think that's what everyone does. That's why you do live action versions of these things. You know what I mean? Oh, you want to see your live action version of, I don't know, Chipmunks or Sonic the Hedgehog, and him in some CGI and with talking to real people and stuff like that, because we want to have something that we can relate to in that aspect. But them doing that in this way has a great feel to it as well, and I think it worked out perfectly. So. The overall impressions, I think we're all giving it a 10
10
10 out of 10 on this bad
Absolutely.
boy, man.
The problem with live action adaptations and comparing it to Endgame, they had 10 years of story building to get to Endgame. 10 years, it's a decade.
Yeah.
So when you have that many stories and that many threads that all weave together in the end like that, that's where that power comes from. You try something like Warner Brothers, like, oh, they did Avengers, do Justice League. It's like they had individual stories before they did Avengers. No, just do Justice League. It'll work.
Yeah.
That's why Logan worked for me, because I had an attachment to Hugh Jackman's Wolverine for like 17 years growing up. That's like one of the rare movies that actually made me fucking cry in the theater.
Yeah. I was gonna say that the didn't X-Men 97 have even longer to build, because it is building off of X-Men from the original 97. So it does have that build over time. But the question is, do we still remember it? I remember snippets of like the original X-Men and stuff like that. I remember like certain moments in certain episodes and stuff. But do I remember the original freaking X-Men from 97? No. Like, I would have to sit there and binge watch like all of it again just for me to. And how many seasons did it get? I don't even know.
It was 5.
It was 5 seasons. Yeah, I mean, come on, I'm not gonna remember that.
The writer, he did actually recommend some episodes to watch like before certain ones aired.
Homework.
Yeah, and I remember somebody in the chat who's new to the series was asking, "Oh, do I need to watch the original series to catch up to this?" And I said no. I think honestly, you can watch this from episode 1 to the last episode, and still understand what's going on with the characters without having to watch the original. The thing is that you're going to be missing a few things, but it won't be a deal breaker. So,
I agree.
Yeah, I think
as long as you know these characters, of Magneto, Wolverine.
Exactly, like you like
be fine.
You don't get the gravity of the struggle, but you get the overall story.
Oh, I see the gravity. You see what he did there? See the gravity? Yeah, no. Magneto? Yeah, no.
That was
No,
an
he's not
intentional
gravity.
plan.
He's
Like
magnets.
Okay, it's magnets. He was using gravity though, like he was. I'm just saying. In any case, the characters that are there are pretty much introduced with Jubilee or was it the guy that she dates? I forget his name. Sunspot, yeah. Those are the characters that pretty much introduce new people to all of these characters that are around. So if you don't know anything about, Wolverine or Magneto or Xavier, any of that stuff, you get introduced to that by seeing the lens from those characters. So absolutely, you don't. It isn't necessary to have to watch the old episodes, but having those old episodes in mind definitely help you out when it comes to understanding the stuff like that.
Yeah,
And of course, all the
first
Easter
episode.
eggs and the cameos and all stuff like that. Yeah, all that stuff is being thrown out there for sure. That help us get to the point where like, I remember that. Oh, I remember that thing. Oh yeah, there it is. You know, like it hits you. It hits you in the nostalgia. It hits you in the memory berries for sure.
The first episode had they all had introductions. Like they made sure that it was, if you're hopping in at the beginning, like Jubilee had an introduction. When Sunspot woke up, Beast had an introduction.
Yep.
Cyclops introduced himself.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, they did a good job. They did a good job of introducing the characters. And then by the time you get to the last episode, you're already invested in
100%.
all of the characters because they had time to actually build on that characters. I said it before, that, what was it, episode 4, I think it was? Let me see here. Yeah, it was episode 4. They did a deep dive into the relationship with Jubilee and Sunspot. And I felt it was kind of a filler because, you know,
Yes.
they had the whole, what was it?
Anything with Mojo in it is a
yeah,
filler.
it was Mojo and stuff like that. I was like, this is super filler. But when you
Mojo
go
so
back
much.
to it, they were establishing the relationship between her and him, so that the last episode had some sort of meaning to it. So I think that kind of worked out in a sense where it helped. But still, it was one of those things where you got to have something to add to the rest of the cast that are being introduced as well. So I think a lot of the characters, honestly, they got their they got their just dessert. Like they were really fleshed out. You got to see a lot of the transitions of a character having an arc for almost every character. Like I'd say aside from Nightcrawler, you know,
Even Nightcrawler had one.
You think Nightcrawler had an arc? I didn't really sense that.
He went from oh, here's the first episode I'm in. I'm all jovial to let me cut 6 or 8 Sentinels in half.
Right,
with 3
exactly.
swords.
Yeah, I get you saying like he had an arc where he was very passive and he didn't want to fight, and then all of a sudden he was going crazy and stuff like that because he's fighting for his friends, fighting for his family.
He's protecting his sister.
And then I'd say Bishop as well didn't have much of an arc. He just did his thing and he was gone. And it was like, cool.
Bishop's, I think that's going to be season 2. But,
right, they're going to probably delve more into Bishop a little bit more in season 2 as well. Yeah,
he was there to take Cable. That was his,
that was his job. It was like, oh, take your kid. That's it. Okay, thanks, Bishop. Cool. All right, I guess we can officially go into some spoiler territory, right? Yeah, we're going into some spoilers, boys. Let's get it. Let's get it. Spoiler time.
Wait, before we spoiler.
Oh,
Bruce, do you know why Cable's name is Nathan?
No.
Because that's what Mr. Sinister wanted his name to be.
Really?
His name's Nathaniel Essex.
Oh, wow.
Nathaniel XX? Wait, what do you mean?
That's Mr. Sinister's name.
Oh, that's his actual. Okay, that's but yeah, everyone calls him Mr. Oh, so he just also he wanted Nathan
So
to be
he's
another version of
Jean and Scott's kid is named after Mr. Sinister.
Okay, I get you. Which is weird. So then why? So he just wanted a kid then. I think that's whole Mr. Sinister's arc. I mean, right now we're already in spoiler territory. That we're
Fuck that guy.
we're just doing it now.
Flat out.
Yeah, we're just doing it. So Mr. Sinister's whole point was that he wanted to have a kid. Like
No. He wanted the perfect mutant, which was the DNA of Jean and Scott.
Right. So isn't that him already? Because he has the genes of literally every mutant that's pretty powerful anyway. That was the point of Mr. Sinister, is that he took all those powers so that he is the perfect mutant. But no, he wants to make the perfect mutant. That's what I was confused about. I was like, why don't you just put that in yourself then? You are the perfect mutant. You have everything.
He's only perfect to a point. He took specific things to make himself live longer.
Right.
He wanted a creature that was born perfect.
Ah, gotcha. Okay. And to do that, he needed the DNA of Jean, he needed the DNA of Scott, and then he needed to put him through the ringer of all the crazy manipulation that he put him in that chamber for. And then once he was done with them, then he'd be like, he would literally be X-Man. And X-Man, I forgot like the character's name, but
no, that's Nate Gray.
Nate Gray, there you go. Yeah, Nate Gray is the perfect mutant, and he's literally just a Dragon Ball character. Like he's Goku. Like
he's Cable without limitations and no techno-organic virus.
Yeah, and he just goes around blasting the crap out of everything with his arms and stuff like that. But apparently from the comic book, from what I know, is that he has a short life. He has a short lifespan because of the fact that he's just too powerful. And
Yeah, he burns himself out.
He burns himself out regardless of how perfect he is over time or something like that. So
later on, they take that away.
Huh?
Later on in the comics, they take that away.
Oh, of course they do. It's the same thing with Spawn, where he's like, oh, I only have a certain amount of time to live, and then like every comic is a countdown, and then later on he's like, oh yeah, he's fine, and you're like, okay, cool, yeah, whatever, sure, whatever. Spoiler time. Yeah, like I said, I thought it was funny in the last episode how Sinister turned out, where he just like Jean goes full on Phoenix.
Yeah.
Takes his powers, and then he goes, oh, what do I do with myself? I don't know. And then Morph just makes fun of him, and then he runs away. I was like, that's it?
Jean
After
turned
all
him
this-
into Snoke.
I guess, or something, like he just walks away. I was like, oh man, come on now, what's going on with this? I figured that the character would get a little more of a final ending where they just like, you know, he gets blown into pieces or something like that, because
No, he got what he deserved.
He absolutely did.
Because all the stuff that he put everybody else to, they just let him go. I thought that was really weird. But
What's he gonna do?
I mean, I guess he can't do anything, but he's a genius. He could figure out a way to get himself back to where he was before. So I'd rather take him. I'd rather they find a way to take him out completely, because that just leaves a window open for him to come back and do some more harm to everyone else. But when it comes to was it Jean conveniently coming to the Phoenix, and then she burns out after that, I'm like, why don't you just start with that? Like, just do that. You would have taken care of everything if you had just been the Phoenix and then knocked everybody out of the equation super early.
It's plot requirement. She had to
It's
be
plot
underwater first.
Absolutely. It is plot requirement. She cannot do everything that she needs to do right off the bat. It has to.
She can't be Phoenix unless she's underwater first.
She can't be Phoenix unless she's
Just,
got
they had to nail the drama, man.
I know, man. I'm gonna say this right now. I am pissed off, though. I am pissed off at this entire season. You want to know why? Because they stole my idea. This actually happened to Kenny. I remember Kenny telling me this years ago. Kenny saw the first episode of Avatar, and he told me that they stole his idea. He had the idea for Kenny. What was it? What were you telling me years ago about? Elementals, right? Yeah.
My comic book that I kind of was writing.
Kenny was writing a comic book, and he said he had all these ideas for the Elementals, and then he saw the Avatar, and like they stole his idea. Like everything that he had was already written on there. They stole my idea for a certain character. No, I'm not going to give away, because I'm still going to go through with what my project is doing. I am very angry right now. They took my stuff. I actually talked about this. Here, I'm going to show you guys, because I'm fucking pissed off. I'm angry.
Let's have it.
I had a thing happen to me like that in junior high school. I'm hell old, just in case Chet doesn't know.
Oh, okay.
So like in junior high school, I swear on everything that
Right?
is dear to me,
Bro.
that I wrote the pilot for Lost.
What
But
the heck?
it was from the lens of like it was me and my high school friends that were on the
Yeah.
plane, and it didn't get any farther than the plane crash and there being like a big old monster and people being people
I
disappearing.
lost it. Yeah,
But
lost
I
it.
was like, that's familiar. I wrote that.
That's like, damn, how did they know? Like, how did they get this idea? Like, wait a second. Yeah, no, that is legit how I feel with this whole debacle of X-Men. And the crazy thing is that these characters have been well established years before I was even existed, bro. And it's like, how there is a certain thing of a certain character does a certain stuff, and I'm not giving it away, but I'm livid. I'm actually
The guy
livid
with
right
claws and their metal claws.
No, nah. Don't even try to hunt it down too. Don't even try to hunt that down.
They're not metal anymore.
Yeah, right. Like no, like
Chun-Li, huh?
no. What the heck is it?
Is that your OC?
This is it. Yeah. Listen, I wrote this in 2023. There's nothing more agonizing than finding out an idea that you are working on has extreme similarities to something else that you've never heard of and has already been done in 2010. I'm marking this point in time, so if anyone says, hey, that reminds me of this thing, I'd be like, yeah, I know. Because that's exactly what's going to happen. And then what did I say? I said, I won't ever let this distract me or deter me from creating my so-called original idea. But whenever you put out a creative process into a project, you always have to remind yourself that nothing in this point in time is ever truly original. Simpsons did it. Yes, I'm telling you right now, they stole my idea. I haven't even wrote it. I haven't even completely wrote it down yet. I have it written down up to a certain extent, but it's not fully written down, and they already stole my idea. I am pissed. I cannot believe that they got away with this. So whenever I flesh out my idea for the thing, just letting everybody know it was my idea first. I want that to be on record. Like
that narrows it down completely.
Exactly. It actually does. So just want to let you know, putting it out there right now. So with that being said, I think the antagonist, what the hell's his name? Bastion. I think Bastion was a well fleshed out character. His motivation made sense, and in order to make a good villain, he has to feel like he's the hero in his own right. And I like the idea that towards the end, instead of trying to destroy him, they tried to reason with him. And obviously it didn't work. He still went full, crazed maniac type of thing. But I think that the fact that he's just a mutant that hates being a mutant and hates his own kind, it speaks to the ideology of a villain that is trying to regulate the world in his own image, thinking that what he's doing is right for everyone. Because you remember in one of the previous episodes, he says, within 10 years time, mutants start to overpopulate the humans, and then within 20 years time or something like that, he goes
2 generations.
In generations or something like that, the human species is completely wiped out. So if you're a human, like all of us are, and a mutant species comes to Earth and starts slowly taking over the human species, wouldn't it be in your best interest to wipe them out?
But they didn't come to Earth. They're just evolved humans.
Right, they're just evolved humans. So if you really think about that, guess what? What did we do to the Neanderthals? We wiped them out. We are the dominant species of the quote-unquote Homo sapiens that are on Earth, that took out another species that was a threat to us. So if you really think about it, if you look at from Bastion's point of view, he's not wrong. He is doing something that is supposed to basically keep the human species at the top of the food chain. And to do that, you have to go after the mutants.
We didn't wipe out the Homo sapiens, though. We just evolved until there were no.
We breeded them out.
The
Wait, you're saying Homo sapiens. You're talking about Neanderthals. Yeah.
We just evolved until there were none left.
Well, we breeded them out. Like if you so that's pretty much how you wipe them out. Is you bred them out, because in Homo sapiens,
we're going to kill all the mutants.
Yeah, so he's extreme because you can't really breed them out at that point. And he already talked about how the mutants would just overpopulate Earth up to a certain extent anyway. So, and what I'm sure breeding out the Neanderthals wasn't intentional. I'm sure that's just how evolution over time had worked. But every human on the planet to this date has a certain level of Neanderthal in them. It just depends on which background you're from.
If you actually see J-Kid's forehead, you can see a lot of that.
That is true. That is absolutely true. That is. He probably has more of that DNA in him than most.
I say that because I actually love you, J-Kid.
That's okay. I just remember that. You read that. So, kind of about. All I'm saying is that, again, from a villain's perspective, just like with X-Men, what was it?
Or like Killmonger.
Killmonger again, yes.
He's the one where he feels like he's the hero.
Well, okay, so here's the thing. Here's the thing. Bastion, Magneto, Killmonger, and God, I'm trying to remember the name of the movie. It's X-Men. It's Days of Future Past. The villain, the guy who played the villain.
Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, same thing. All of them feel like they are the hero in their own story, and they have reasonable I guess motivations to do what they do, The problem is that each character goes to the extreme version of what it is that they need to do in order to achieve their goals, which is just preservation. Same thing with Killmonger, same thing with Magneto, same thing with Bastion, same thing with I already forgot his fucking name. All of them are motivated in the idea of self-preservation, and they all go to the extremes of, well, we just gotta wipe everybody out. Again, I'm on the side of Magneto. I honestly think that independence is the way to go for mutants. It's just that he has to. You declared war on the entire planet. You don't need to do that in order to achieve that goal. The thing is that
there's that other guy who had that same kind of theory, something about a snap and half the universe.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, So some other guy who had to snap the. Now again, that's a little different, only because the original idea was that he's trying to impress Death, which is a female.
Yeah.
And that was so cheesy and so stupid that if that if that translated to a live action movie, no one would take it serious.
No, so it wouldn't have made anywhere near.
It wouldn't have made anywhere near as the impact of what he was trying to do there. So I understand why they changed it. I understand that when you transfer stuff from comic book lore or comic book canon to live action, you have to take some liberties. Nobody gives a fuck about the Thanos copter. We don't want to see it. We don't want to see him jump into it. It wouldn't make sense in a live action movie. No, not everything needs to be 1-to-1 from comic book to live action. You have to take some liberties and some stuff. Thanos' whole idea of, well, there has to be balance in the universe, blah 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 blah. I still think that's kind of dumb, but it's not as dumb as the idea of him doing it just to impress Death. I think that's even worse. So,
the funny thing about that is that after he did that, Deadpool just kind of went, "Hey, Death, you're cute," and they got together.
Oh, he hooked up with Deadpool?
Yeah.
In the comics?
Death hooked up with Deadpool.
Oh, yeah, she didn't... Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, she didn't even care. She was like, yeah, that's cool, whatever. And then she hooked up with, like, Deadpool or something. I was like, yeah, okay, sure. I think at that point, that's when the writers they go off on their own world and they're just having fun and just doing whatever. I don't think it's... I still say, to this day, that Thanos is right, and that the real reason why he snapped the universe was completely different from what he was telling people, because he was unable to tell people. So I'm gonna put Thanos in there. Thanos, Killmonger, Magneto, Bastion, and the other guy, all in the same faction of where these are great villains. And I'll say this again: the way you make a good superhero is to have interesting villains. The only reason why Batman is interesting is because he has great villains to counter his particular character. And this is why I like him more than Spawn, in the aspect of, I don't know a lot of Spawn villains. I don't think they're very interesting, and the interaction between Spawn and some of his villains aren't that interesting. But is Spawn a way cooler character than Batman? Hell yeah, he's way fucking dope. But it's just how do you build upon a character that you enjoy and love seeing on the big screen? Have them interact with characters that are compelling. Don't have them fight the same cheesy, I'm a bad guy and I want to take over the world, ha ha ha, type of stuff. Like, no, we want compelling, interesting characters. And if you look at how Stan Lee created or was a part of the creation, again, Stan Lee didn't create the X-Men. He was a part of a group that actually created the X-Men. The original idea of the X-Men wasn't what we see it today. The original X-Men was just cheesy mutants that were fighting against Magneto, who was a mutant that tried to take over the world, and they tried to stop it. That was it. Magneto was super cheesy, and the idea of him was just, I'm gonna get you next time, Gadget. Ah! And then that was it. That was the core element of the original, like, old school cartoons that was even before our time, and the original concept of the comic books that was before our time.
Yeah. Have you ever read X-Men #1?
No, I've never.
It does not hold up.
Yeah, it's really bad. It is only until afterwards that Stan Lee allowed other comic book creators to really delve into the storyline of X-Men, and they evolved their ideology and their arc into something that's more relatable to what we have going on in today. So of course we can relate to it because it resonates with us. And I'll say it before and I'll say it again. Magneto's first speech to the Supreme Court was absolutely phenomenal. Was
The UN?
was one of the greatest things that was out there, and they topped it with the speech of family with Xavier to Magneto in the last episode. I think that actually topped it because Magneto. I'm sorry, not Magneto. Xavier did a fantastic job of trying to appeal to the psyche of Magneto's understanding of what it is that he's doing. Just trying to get him to empathize on figuring out, look, you got to understand, your trauma is the reason why you're so angry at everybody that is doing you wrong today. There has to be a way that we can, as a family, let you understand that there isn't hopelessness here. You can still reason with these people, and you can still be a part of this correlation of ideology that they're trying to bestow on the fact that you're a mutant. There has to be a way that we can come to an understanding, and getting to his mental his mental trauma is key to figuring out what Magnus is actually trying to achieve. Is Magnus trying to achieve a total annihilation, or is he actually trying to achieve just independence for him and mutant kind? Because that's honestly what Xavier wants, right? As well. So yeah,
the scope of the writing in that speech, the underlying thing that isn't said out loud,
yeah,
but Xavier is doing is, you can't remember your parents' faces. Don't be that to somebody else.
Yeah.
Don't make other people have to go through the same thing you did with faceless people just destroying their entire family.
Yeah, absolutely. That's actually 100% correct, dude. Like, yeah,
Bo DeMeo, he can write a show.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and that's why I think when we resonate. I don't and actually have his IMDb up, dude, because I actually don't know what other stuff he's written. But my God,
I don't know that he has. Oh no, he has. He has
a huge. Yeah, no, he has a very big portfolio, and the guy is, I would say he's a writing genius, right? Again, I don't know of his, his background in of why he's let go or why he had to leave and everything like that, but I just know that I respect that level of writing to something that is considered a kid's thing. You know what I mean? Like it's X-Men. Like a lot of people aren't going to take it serious, except for guys like us who understand the history of that stuff. You know what I mean? But for somebody like him to put that kind of effort into there, it's like the scope of somebody who makes Dragon Ball Evolution and the scope of somebody who makes this. There's somebody who actually does the work, understands the characters, knows exactly where to make good writing for the characters, and allow the rest of the studio and the cast and everything to bring that to life. As opposed to somebody who, said, "Oh, you want me to make a movie off of this old anime? Sure, whatever. I'll just make my own script and then we'll put it out there." And you get Dragon Ball Evolution. Favorite moments in the show, Kenny?
Favorite moments? Jeez, Cyclops getting to be cool.
Yeah,
Cyclops getting to be cool.
Yeah, I mean, like everything that he's been in has just made him to look not as good as Wolverine.
I've never pictured you as a Cyclops fanboy.
Well, like Marvel too. When he was like my anchor, I really started liking him a lot. In Marvel too, he was my anchor.
What was your team again? I can't remember. What was your team?
Like when my high tier, my low key high tier team was Cable, Psylocke, and Cyclops.
Oh wow, what the heck?
Yeah, that's like when I was kind of trying to win. I didn't have so yeah.
Yeah. I guess I could.
Yeah. Because I didn't have a Magneto or anything like that. But that was like my high tier when I wanted to try to compete. Like not compete, but like
that's true, because in almost every iteration of Cyclops, he's considered like the douchey stick in the mud, right?
Yeah, the douchey stick in the mud. I'm the nerd. Wolverine is better than me.
I gotta follow all the rules.
Yeah, and all his power, is just sitting there and shoot. And in this fucking, well, if this is part of YouTube, this passed the curse filter.
Whatever.
But
Shut the, yeah, whatever. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah, in this thing, like he pops off, and there's so many hints of him in Marvel versus Capcom that is insane. He does the cross in the last episode.
Yeah.
Before
Yeah,
he
yeah,
does this thing, he literally does the X.
Yeah.
He does it
I'm
in
like,
the first one too.
Yeah, he does the X. He does all his like moves. The way he's using his powers is different. He's using it to gain momentum, and it's not just like I point and shoot. And he's such a much better character around this time. So I'm like,
Yeah.
just like finally he's getting some respect, and because everything is just like Wolverine, and I'm like, you got to put some respect on Cyclops. Like,
The voice
so-
actor.
They put Wolverine way in the background. for
Way in the
Yes,
background, and I'm
I'm
all
like-
for it. I'm all
Yeah.
for it. I
Like, I-
love Wolverine. Again, he's my favorite X-Men character, but I think that them
other people need to shine.
that too. I think them trying to force Wolverine into the forefront isn't necessary for the character. If you're gonna force Wolverine to the forefront, give him his own story.
It
arc.
worked because Wolverine's just been on everything for years.
Yes.
Wolverine.
I
I mean,
absolutely-
everyone knows fucking Wolverine. Like,
I
He's
absolutely
been an
love Wolverine.
Avenger.
I absolutely love Wolverine, but at a certain point, let's not overdo it. You know what I mean? And I think that's the problem with Wolverine, is that he's been overdone for way too long. And I think in part of Hugh Jackman made Wolverine so damn good. So a lot of people wanted
he
to
was
see more
popular
of that.
before that. Like, for
True.
sure.
But
See,
he didn't blow up as much as after the
He
first
did.
X-Men.
He absolutely did.
He got his own
Wolverine
games.
was the most popular X-Men character since before that.
Yeah.
The original cartoon came out.
Adamantium Rage on NES and everything. Like,
Yeah.
he got everything.
Yeah,
Yeah, I just
Yeah,
don't
he
feel.
had the most-
I feel it got exponentially higher after the movies, though.
Oh,
I think.
absolutely.
For sure.
I mean, like from the cartoon. Once the cartoon hit, then he started getting.
Yeah,
like,
then he started
big,
popping off
big.
and starting going
He
crazy.
Like,
had the
he
most
was,
screen
yeah.
time in Spider-Man as well, the cartoon.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. To go on the Cyclops thing, I think I fell in love with the character when he had the interview, and he did the interview with the
You people.
Yeah, and you people, and he was saying the stuff that he was feeling, and he said it right in front of the camera, and he didn't give a fuck. So
Yeah.
that is the complete opposite of what
Mhm.
the Cyclops that we know of from all the other iterations of Cyclops. He would never say
Character
that if he was
death,
other. But
There's-
this one, he was so frustrated and so angry at everything that was happening around him, and and even then, of how pissed off he was at Xavier when he finally was able to see Xavier and say, why the hell
yeah,
did he
bro.
why would you pick that? You know what I mean? Like, no, it's just a guy who is kind of put in this position of, hey, you're the leader, how do I deal with this? And he's going through his own struggles as well. So a very well relatable character that has his own arc as well, a fully fleshed out character. And again, no, you're not wrong, Kenny. He's phenomenal in that aspect. Just saying,
They
people.
did him right. Like in the comic books, after a while, Cyclops, like there's a whole arc where he, like, the team splits in two because Avengers fought X-Men and Wolverine sided with the Avengers, and the X-Men split into two different teams, and Cyclops was leading the other team. He had a badass red costume with a red X on his face. I like to call that asshole Cyclops. But when he did that, he stopped giving
Yeah.
flying anything.
Yeah.
And he became what mutant kind actually needed, which was a mix of Xavier and Magneto.
Right.
And he's like the de facto leader of the mutants now, and he's where he should be.
Was that
And
during
that's what they're going for, like, toward in '97.
was that during the time that he cuts off Wolverine's arm and Wolverine cuts out his eye, like he has like the
No,
eye
that
patch?
was Age of Apocalypse.
Okay, gotcha. So that's a different timeline.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, Bruce, favorite part of this series.
Everything with Rogue.
This guy.
I mean, for a reason, because seeing her go from happy-go-lucky to like being emotionally
Oh, dude,
tormented.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
Her arc is crazy, bro.
That was amazing.
That was
and
actually,
especially
you
when
know
it
what?
paid off.
And to be honest, I've never seen that side of Rogue in any
Yeah.
iteration of her at all.
Well, besides like Evolution, right?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but she was like, I think she was more goth than just angry. I think this one is angry.
And you got to watch it again.
I gotta watch it again. Okay, all
Yeah.
right. Okay. I think this one. Well, okay. Well, evolution. She's angry, but there's no real reason for it. In this, there is. Okay. In this one, I felt like the reason for it actually. I put myself in her position, and I say I would be just as pissed off, if not even more, about the situation that you're put into at that point. You know what I mean? Now her decision to go with Magneto and then and literally be the bad guy in the second to last episode, and then in the last episode she's kind of like, oh yeah, we're cool again, kind of like threw me off.
What they were doing there
Yeah.
in the comic books Fatal Attractions, which is my second favorite X-Men storyline, it was Colossus switched sides and went with Magneto.
Oh
But
really?
since,
Okay.
since
Okay.
there's no Colossus, in order to move the story forward,
Right.
they put all the emotional trauma on Rogue, so she
Right.
flipped.
Got
Because
it.
like with Gambit dying, you know, that was the contrast to Colossus's sister and his parents dying, like all within month and a half.
Okay. So in the comics, Colossus actually loses his sister and his parents. As
his
opposed
sister,
to...
his sister died to the legacy virus, and he was like, Xavier, you did nothing. Magneto's all about action. I'm going with him.
Right. And you know what? I Colossus is one of my favorite X-Men. I think it would have been nice to see that character come fleshed out. The only time Colossus really got some shine was in Deadpool, and he was a little bit he was shown a little bit in the X-Men the trilogy.
X2.
Yeah, X2. Yeah. So they haven't really fleshed him out in anything animated wise or anything, or even live action wise. But I definitely like that character, and the fact that character actually does switch sides in the comic books would have been kind of cool to see how that comes about. You know what I mean?
I was gonna say I like that they made Rogue flawed as well. Like,
Yeah.
very good, very good.
Absolutely. What about Sunspot? What about Sunspot switching sides? Did that really fit with the character?
That felt kind of
Rushed.
shoehorned.
Yeah, not rushed. You're right. Yeah, shoehorned.
I mean, I think it makes sense just because he's like a young guy. He doesn't really know what he wants, you know.
Right.
Yeah, he's just now coming into all this conflict, and his only experience in it is, oh, my mom turned me over to the bad guys because I'm a mutant, and this guy wants to fight for mutants. So
Emotional teen, you know. Makes sense to me in that regard.
Yeah. I think they needed somebody else to show that Magneto is now getting recruits. So they said, oh, just have Sunspot do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because
in the comics, he had a whole like gang. He had all the acolytes.
Oh, that was running with him and everything?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of felt, you're right. That did feel kind of shoehorned. Favorite moment, Spliced.
Details.
Details.
Throughout the whole thing. The details that they put into the story writing.
Okay.
And the background stuff. Like the last episode, when the president was looking at that dossier on Magneto, it had his aliases. And
What?
Two of them at the bottom. It was Eric Lensher, and
What
then the guy that did the voice for the original.
What? I did not see
original-
that.
And then there was name underneath it Ian, and then the rest of it was blanked out.
Yeah.
And underneath that was Michael
shit.
F, and then the rest of it was blanked out.
What the heck? Oh my god, that's crazy.
It's the little stuff like that. The X-Men 141,
Right, and-
Days of Future Past poster in Forge's office when Bishop comes back.
I
That
also
has all the missing and all that good stuff.
I also had the chat. I think it was Bruce or somebody else in the chat that told me about the what if character in the background.
Yeah, Watcher was
The Watcher in
launching
the
it at
background.
the
And I was
Genosha
like,
massacre.
what the
Yeah.
heck? I had to go back and look, and I was like, oh, he is in the back. Like, what? Like, what the hell? That's
the body
crazy.
slide of Cable, when he gets yanked back and he says not again, like that being the same energy that made the asteroid disappear.
Actually, I'm there is one part that pissed me off, and it was the details. And fuck you, Kenny. The fucking Cyclops goes, "What did you expect? Black leather."
Yeah, that was
That
great.
shit
That
was
was
trash.
fucking great.
That
No, it was
trash.
no.
Absolute
it was
garbage,
a cheap
bro.
throw. It was a
No,
cheap knock
bro.
at the cartoon
It was a
back in
cheap
the day,
shot.
bro.
It was
Exactly.
a cheap
So
shot.
the cartoon
No,
gets to knock at him
Cheap
back.
shot,
Fuck that.
bro. That was
Fucking-
whack as hell.
Fuck that
Nah.
movie.
Yeah, the movie got to do it, so they got to do it
Yeah,
back.
they
What's
got to
the
do it
problem with
back.
that?
Whack as hell, bro.
Yeah.
What did you
Shit
expect?
was-
Black
shit
leather?
was-
Nah,
yeah.
fuck all that.
Shit was great.
Okay, what do you think of the
Cheap
original line
shots.
then?
Nah, that's loud.
From the
That's
movie,
like
what do you think of the
bullshit.
original line? Yeah.
I'm not
Would
with
you
it. The
expect
black,
yellow spandex? That
yeah,
was
yellow
stupid.
spandex is hilarious because that's lame. No one's gonna wear some yellow spandex in real life and make it look good. It doesn't look good.
Disney
Black
does it.
leather
Yeah.
looks dope. You wear the black leather and they
sure.
all look sick.
What
as
are we
hell.
gonna see in
They're
July,
on
bro?
unison.
What are we gonna see in
No.
July?
Yeah, we're gonna see in
Exactly.
July. It's gonna look okay, but you know what? It'll probably look better if he was wearing black leather. So I'm just putting it out there.
Dude,
I'll say that
Steve's
right
the
now.
only- I mean, you're gonna be the only one with that take, bro.
You know how earlier you
Only one
called
with
J
that-
Kid
When's the diss
a
track
fake
dropping?
fan
That's literally them dropping a diss track at each other, bro.
at
You'd rather
themselves?
have all of them wear the black suits and not be individual at all.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
that's
absolutely, 100%. I think the black suits look super dope. They're in unison. They're in uniform. They're representing each other. Like everybody's having all these
soldiers?
different freaking outfits and stuff like that. No, I love the black outfits. I love the black leather. It looked dope. It looked realistic, and it looked perfect for the time that I was in. So
Why does
yeah.
it need to be realistic? It's superheroes.
Right.
And it
Realistic
worked
dudes
and it
reading
worked for,
minds.
and it worked for the X-Men movies. It worked for the X-Men movies. They all look dope.
It
you
worked
can
for the
add
X-Men movies
you
because
can-
they
you
didn't
can-
have a choice.
Didn't have
Well,
a
I mean,
choice,
you could
yeah.
I'm
add
not
a
saying they
little
look
flair.
bad.
You could add a little flair and put like a couple of different like colors on the black leather and stuff like that. But the
They
fact that
did,
they're all
but it was
Bishop's was red.
sure,
Yeah, and like if Fox was making all the MCU movies, they'd all be wearing leather because they're like, well, we don't know how to make it look cool.
Yup.
It was a cop out. It was a cop out, and everybody who watched the fucking movies knew it was a cop out. That's why the scene was
the
hated.
X-Men. The X-Men for the first X-Men movie came out a year after Matrix. What do you think they were gonna do?
exactly, and it looked
was
fucking
it was
dope
a
as hell.
cop-out.
They were even scared with
full
Magneto because like
I
his
think-
outfit was like barely red.
Yeah.
I think I remember Max saying that they actually had like a bullet time moment in X-Men at some point in time. I don't remember when it was though. Like it was just the age of Matrix at that point. Like everything was going that route, and it looked fucking cool.
Well, that's one of those things like we were talking about earlier. You were saying nothing is original anymore. That was
Yeah.
one of the last original movies to come out.
What the Matrix?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's stipulations on that as well because there's people that say that they got their that wasn't even an original idea from the twins.
Well, it might not have been from them, but it was still an original idea.
Right. Yeah. I get what you're saying. I mean, and you could tell that they had no idea where they were putting together on that entire concept, and a lot of that elements from Matrix took from Terminator anyway. So, what is an original idea? Like, what the hell is that anymore? Like, I don't even know what that is anymore. Like, it's crazy. Matrix was inspired by Ghost in the Shell. There you go. There's even more of that. Terminator, Ghost in the Shell. I'm pretty sure a lot of animes from that time frame as well that had a big influence. And that's what it really comes down to. Everything is influenced these days, so nothing is really original.
Other than the details, it's
Right.
It's the not the comic accuracy, but the comic inclusion. Like,
Right.
I could go into an episode and be like, that's from this storyline, that's from that storyline, that's
Yeah.
from this episode, and just like the stuff I was talking about earlier on Forge's wall, the Days of Future Past poster. But it wasn't Days of Future Past. It was just them saying, "Oh, the asteroid disappeared," but it's the same poster.
Yeah.
And like the Cyclops and Jean getting pulled into the future thing, that was a 4-part miniseries called The Adventures of Cyclops and Phoenix. They did that in the comics. They went and raised Cable. They spent 12 years in the future.
Okay, so they went to the future and actually did that.
The
okay.
lady that's in the cloak is their daughter from a different timeline.
Oh, what the hell?
It's Rachel Summers.
What the? Oh, wow. Okay, wow.
She actually took the code name Phoenix, and things like that. Just the little things.
Not even that. But you remember when Magneto was thinking about the people that he remembered, and then he saw Rogue on the boat. Guess who else was on that boat?
Wanda and Pietro.
Yep.
And Polaris.
Yep, and Polaris is on there too. It looked crazy. I was like, wait a second. I have to like go back and be like, wait, what? Like, what are they doing there? Yeah. I was like, oh my god,
And
that's
then,
so sick.
I lost my train of thought. You derailed my train.
Get wrecked, boy. But no, you're talking about the other daughter.
storylines.
Yeah. So, what do we think? And I'll ask you, Kenny. What do you think about the after credit scene?
Oh, dude. Well, that's something I predicted that Gambit's going to be one of the 4 horsemen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. he's that card, and yep, he's like, oh yeah. So Gambit,
The way he said death.
oh yeah. So it's I think it's fantastic how it ended. Like we have two different, they're in two different parts of time to deal with Apocalypse or what's his face in two different times, like when he's basically first came into fruition and now
right.
Then,
So Gambit
actually
was,
three timelines. So yeah.
Gambit was death in the comics, but did he actually die to become that in the comics?
Yes, he did.
Okay, so
Mystique killed him.
Okay, so he was killed before in the comics. This isn't like some new thing where they're like, oh, we need somebody to die, just make it him.
He was absolutely the Horseman of Death in the comics.
Okay, all right. So then that's where they were going with that.
His outfit and his look in the comics as the Horseman of Death is amazing.
Okay. So they'll probably do something like that as well. So then I didn't understand Apocalypse being in the current timeline and then also being in the past where they meet him.
Well, he's
the first mutant.
Right, he's the first mutant. Yeah, I totally get that. So, but why are they introducing him in two exact same time, like two at the exact same time? You know what I mean? Like,
okay, so
he's immortal.
It's actually three different timelines.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Okay, so the Adventures of Cyclops and Phoenix, the comic I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Okay, so when they sent Cable to the future, who got him and who got him as a baby was Rachel Summers, basically his aunt. In order to cure him of the techno-organic virus, they cloned him. They cloned a perfect baby. That baby got kidnapped by Apocalypse and got turned into Strife later.
Yeah.
So they had the original Cable. They raised him, and then she yanked Cyclops and Jean out of their bodies after their honeymoon or during their honeymoon.
Yeah.
Into the future, and so they could raise him. And then the reason that they kidnapped Strife was because Apocalypse is dying and he needed a new host body. So Apocalypse is in the past with them, in the present with getting the card for Gambit, and in the future where Scott and Jean are. So he's in all three timelines.
Yeah.
That dude is everywhere. Holy crap. The characters seeing him in the past, I guess that's going to be something where they understand who he is and how dangerous he is.
They don't.
No, but I'm saying like they'll probably eventually figure out, oh, okay, this dude's like crazy, and then they'll get sent back to the future or something like that. I'm assuming.
Honestly, I think something's going to happen where they're going to be like, oh, we can affect him and change him so he's not a bad guy in the future, and then something's going to happen where it either looks like or they have to, for some reason, betray him.
Yeah.
And it turns him into what he is.
Oh, shit. Okay. So there's an arc there that's probably going to flesh him out. It's a villain arc, basically, is what they're hinting to in that. Somebody in chat says he died a couple times. So Gambit has actually gotten killed a bunch of times in the comics.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, the current era of mutants, up until very recently, you could die as many times as you want. You just get reincarnated.
Oh, okay. Yeah, whatever. Fuck you. Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure.
You know how he died in X-Men 97, blowing up that Sentinel?
Yeah.
He learned how to charge his own body in the comic books, and he charged himself up and flew at a Sentinel and exploded.
Oh, God.
Yeah, he was a big old missile.
Oh, man. I was going to say that the arc, or I guess the subtle hint that Onslaught also might be a thing. Do you guys think that that also might be something that happens? Because I remember Magneto telling Xavier that, oh, if you try to go inside my mind, it could, fragment both of our minds and fuck us up. So is that a hint to Onslaught, or is that just something that was just specific for that episode? Does anybody really know?
So in the comic books, in Fatal Attractions, when he ripped out Wolverine's adamantium, Xavier wiped his mind. He left him a vegetable.
Oh, okay.
But when he did that, Magneto's psyche infected his, and that's where Onslaught came from. It just it festered and grew inside Charles' mind, and he didn't know. So when he finally popped and turned into Onslaught, he had no idea.
Oh, okay.
That all that was going on. But just the fact that he did, the big old psychic battle thing with Magneto,
Right,
it absolutely opens the door for it.
Oh, okay. So it's okay. So it's kind of like a prelude to that or something like that. Yeah,
The only problem that I see with it is there was so much buildup in the entire Marvel Universe comics to get to Onslaught.
It takes a while. It takes a while to get to.
I don't know that they could do it. Like they have, Iron Man and Captain America and Fantastic Four and all that showed up.
Right.
But there's so much story in order to get through Onslaught with everybody else in the Marvel Universe.
So it's not just Magneto and Xavier put together. No, there's a reason why Onslaught is a thing, and there's like a whole build up to it, and it's not just
No, it's 100% Magneto and Xavier, but the storyline is industry wide.
Okay, I get you. And I gotta give a shout out to Tiffany Starchild. I'm sorry, Tiffy Starchild. She was breaking down the past iteration of Storm, and she was upset that when Storm is just in the show with her mohawk, and they don't really explain the lore behind that. So like you're saying with Onslaught is that there's a whole storyline with Onslaught, so you would have to like really flesh that out. The same thing with Storm. Storm apparently was had her full hair, but she went to Japan with Wolverine, or I believe, and there's a whole arc where she came into herself, and the reason why she has that mohawk is because of something completely different. So the fact that it was just in the show was like, oh well, you're not really delving into that whole lore. But then when she finally got her powers back, then they gave us the original Storm, which was really cool. Yeah. So they're actually still trying to tell that story in the same fact of just gartering for time, because obviously you can't really delve into her whole past and all that stuff like that with her whole mohawk and stuff like that.
They basically took that and said, that year in between the original series and X-Men 97, all that happened in there because she's already got the mohawk.
Yeah. So they're actually hinting to that possibly that
they just jumped it.
Oh, they just jumped it. Like just like slapped it in there. It's like, oh, okay, yeah.
She's already got a mohawk, so all that already happened.
Yeah, okay, gotcha. So it's kind of cool that she's still relevant even after her powers are crazy OP and she's able to do the crazy stuff that she can. I think they did a fantastic job with her overall. She is still one of the most powerful mutants that is in the series, and the fact that that she wasn't considered to be the leader of the X-Men still drives me crazy. She's obviously the perfect candidate to be the next in line. Even after Xavier comes back, don't sit there and bitch about, why is Cyclops the leader? Why the fuck is she the leader? She's obviously the perfect fucking candidate to be the goddamn leader of the X-Men. What the hell's wrong with y'all? That's fucking crazy. Please.
They fought. Cyclops and Storm fought for leadership of the X-Men, and Storm won.
Right? Bro, please, explain this to me. Like, I don't understand why she's not considered to be the leader of the fucking X-Men. It doesn't make any damn sense. Of course she's the fucking perfect candidate. You don't put Magneto as the leader, you put her as the leader. She's the fucking leader. And every time she talked, she spoke with authority. Every single time. You look at the show, you go back and look at the show, every single time she talked, she spoke with authority, and she was able to lead the other characters. There is no reason that for the reason that Xavier is talking about, where he's saying, oh yeah, I didn't want you guys to continue being the leaders of the X-Men when you guys should be going off and doing your own things. This is why I gave the leadership to Magneto. What? She's like, what? She's standing right there, bro. She's right there. What are you doing? So that is just funny to me that he just didn't think of her at all, or that's how the writer wrote that out and it was like, yeah, sure, okay.
They did when they split into two teams to Gold and Blue. She was the leader of Gold team.
Yeah, exactly.
Cyclops was the leader of Blue team.
And you know what's funny is that Cyclops probably should have realized that Rogue might have gone rogue if she had went on the mission to go after Magneto. You probably should have taken Rogue with you, and she would have never done that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, good leadership skills there, Cyclops. Good leadership. You stupid asshole. But I think the characters being able to interact with each other in the way that they can now might go away in the next season, because they're all in different timelines now, and I feel like the whole team aspect kind of gets shifted out after that, and I don't
the majority of them are in the far past.
The majority of them are in the past, right?
It was just Scott and Jean who went to the future, and then who was left? It was who's on the ground? Roberto and Jubilee.
Yeah.
So you got 2 bit characters that don't really matter.
Wow.
The majority of the teams in the past.
Correct.
You got the 2 quote unquote main characters in the future.
Yeah. I think that I honestly like the idea of the characters being together because it's a team that's like they said, it's a family type of thing, and them being separated might make that go away. But they did that same thing in Heroes. Like Heroes, when they get together, it's the dopest thing ever. But when they're all split apart, like it's like I guess. And they did the same thing with Walking Dead. They always split everybody up and stuff like that. So I guess it kind of works for this. They seem to do that a lot in these type of things. So I think it works out well. But there's so much that goes into planning and I guess overall aspects of how this is supposed to work. I do hope that after we get season 2 and the new writers come in and they start working on the stuff that they get a grasp of what the original writer was trying to do, and they can somehow put something together that is meaningful for this right now. I'm getting ahead of myself, obviously, because that's 2 more seasons away, but I really do hope the best for this show stays relevant and stays entertaining for the majority of the series, because I don't want this to be another Walking Dead or in Game of Thrones where everyone's like, oh yeah, the first couple of seasons were great, but then just started to go downhill later on down. I hate that, you know what I mean? Like I would like for this show to be, from beginning to end, be as good as it was when it starts, because that's how they hook you in.
I would put money on them bringing Bo DeMeo back.
You think so? Okay.
Yeah, I mean they did it with James Gunn, and Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was fantastic.
I think it comes down to, and again, I can only speculate. I have no idea what he did or what the issue is or blah, 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 all this bullshit, whatever. I can only speculate that what he did probably shouldn't warrant him to be, gone for good. Like, I'm hoping whatever, because again, James Gunn was like, oh, he did an old tweet or something like that. And they're like, we don't like that. Get him out of here. So, if it's something as mild as that, I'm hoping that, of course, they'll see the importance of him. They'll see his worth and realize, we need to get him back immediately, because we don't know how to write something like that. Because
it's Disney. They'll just look at the dollar signs.
True. But we look at examples like Boondocks, where they did not realize how important it was to keep that guy on staff. And they got rid of him, and they tried to do the last season without him, and it was a travesty. So you want to make sure that you either hire a group of people that can capture the essence of what it was that he was going for in his writing, or get him back. Like that is the key factor there. So like Slurp says, let the man cook. Like let's get him back on there and get him to do the stuff that he needs to do, which is make good stories. That's what we want. I don't even care about the fucking X-Men. Make good stories. Let's get X-Men characters in a good story. Can we do that? That'd be awesome. At this point, Kenny, do you think X-Men needs to be in the MCU?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Okay, so even with this.
Yeah, with it 100%. It'd be sick, like if like these protocols, and they're like, and you see how Captain America was siding with the United States and stuff. Right. And it just depends like what comic book or what thing you read, because sometimes Captain America is like Mr. Police, cop man, and sometimes he's just like, I see America's fucking up. And,
right.
America.
No, he's
it would be like sick to see like, well, we're gonna have to have the Avengers, fucking stop these mutants.
I honestly believe
that would be fire.
honestly
if they
believe
do
that.
AVX and animated mode,
Yeah, I honestly believe that Captain America is a true patriot. You know what I mean? Like he understands that there's hypocrisies in the government, and he won't just jump on board because America. You know what I mean?
Well,
like,
it depends on what comic. Sometimes in like some comics, he's just strictly whatever America, and like he'll buy the book, and especially in whatchamacallit, in the Secret Wars, he was just such a Boy Scout that he, you know, it was like fucking hell, bro, chill. You need to, and then like, so yeah. But the thing is, I'd like to see like, well, hey, these Avengers are showing up. Hey, they need to be stopped. And all of a sudden, you have the Avengers trying to stop the X-Men. You know, even though some of them are friends, and they're like, well, you know, yeah, this is getting out of hand.
Freaking Wolverine being like, "Hi, I'm standing behind Captain America." You traitor.
Yeah, the comics. Yeah. Shane Soda says, I didn't agree with how they wrote Cap. Really, there wasn't much of him.
Well, it just depends.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't in there that much for us to really grasp how he was being written. You know, I mean, he tried to tell the president to do the right thing, and the president said "fuck you." So he was like, he made a little sad face at the end. That was pretty cute. But I like what Real Boxer says. Just start the XCU. There's enough characters in the X-Men universe to just have their own thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you wouldn't get the coattails of the established stuff.
What are you saying, Bruce?
No, I was just saying, I think after Secret Wars, we're due for a universe reset.
Yeah, that's gonna happen, 100%.
Yeah. So
that's what they need.
You wouldn't want them to introduce the X-Men right now. You would rather wait.
I mean, they're gonna do it pretty much in Deadpool and Wolverine, and then whatever else comes after that. But then just reset the universe and have everybody existing in the same like continuity.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I'm
not.
What
I mean, because there's no rights issues anymore.
Right, I'm on the fence with Simmons in this point. Like, I really don't have much of an attachment to the MCU at this point. Like, it feels like there's nothing left to give. Like, they pretty much exacerbated all of their options. The only thing that probably get me excited at this point is Doom. And
they're supposed to be doing Secret Wars.
Right, and if to do Doom correctly, you need to have a Doom movie. You need to flesh out the character as his own thing first, because Doom's lore is crazy, and again, another villain who sees himself as a hero and has a great arc and should be fleshed out if written correctly. So maybe they could do something like that.
I mean, I think they should do what DC's doing as well and just have standalone movies.
Well, yeah, they have to.
Yeah,
like they need to do that. Yeah, just stop connecting everything.
Doctor Doom, you could do like they did Ultron in the second Avengers movie.
I don't know,
but
man.
Put it in like the sequel to Fantastic Four.
I don't know, man.
Half of that movie dedicated to Doctor Doom.
There is no movie no superhero movie that I can think of that gave me that feeling that Endgame did when the heroes came back and then T'Challa did the chant
Bombay.
And they all did that. The closest thing I can say was Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, where they all came at the end and it says, okay, we're gonna come in and we're gonna help Miles Morales. That feeling you can only get if you have a build-up in an MCU kind of way. You know what I mean? If you do standalone movies, you're not gonna get that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah. So I think sure, I get what you're saying, Bruce. Like, they should stop doing that and focus on standalone movies.
They can do both. I'm just
right,
saying, like,
right.
We can have like stories that
the only reason why Endgame and Infinity War first? Yeah, Infinity War and Endgame, right? The only reason why those two movies worked so well is because there is a good build up to that. The problem is that when you have a timeline of a storyboard timeline to build up something to that, it takes time. It takes a lot of coordination,
commitment,
and a lot of commitment from people who are working on a project for 10 plus years. Once that's already fleshed out, and then you start throwing out other stuff, of course it doesn't seem like it's genuine because you know that you've already finished your project. So if they do another MCU build-up type of thing, I'd say flesh it out. Let's really think about how you're gonna put something like, let's say, Doctor Doom, and what Kenny is talking about is what was it, what's the fucking the last one, the Super War or whatever the fuck it is,
Secret Wars.
Secret Wars, yeah. When you build something up to like Secret Wars, do it right. You can't just force it out. This was the problem with the DC universe. They tried to force it. They didn't think about it. They wanted to cash out on it, and it ruined the integrity of the last fucking of the Justice League movie. If you had waited, let the characters come up with a storyboard, come up with a timeline, let the characters build in their own right, then you could have had a Justice League movie that could have trumped the MCU movie, but they didn't do that. Even with the Spider-Verse. Spider-Verse only took 2 movies to build into something that was that impactful, and the last part of the Spider-Verse 2 had that same impact. Maybe not as good as the MCU Endgame, but it was very fucking close. The way I felt at the end of that, I felt like, holy shit, we're gonna go and we're gonna fucking kick their ass. Because why? You created a villain that you love to hate. You created something that you felt you are a part of because you wanted to see those characters get their justice at the end. You know what I mean? And that's hard to emulate. And the only way to do that is to have a build. So standalone movies, sure, are great, but I think this is, I think it's better that you have something that teases into something that has a build. It just has to be done right. Don't just throw in random cameos at the end of credits and be like, yeah, this is gonna lead into something really cool. And like, no, have a plan, right? Like, have something. And I think the whole Thanos arc of him, at the end of one movie, he snaps or he puts on the glove. Fine. And he says, I'll do it myself. Yeah, it's like, fine, I'll do it myself. Stuff like that. That's building into something that's going to be epic later on, and that's what we're waiting for. No one gives a fuck about a cameo at the end of a movie if it doesn't lead to something better, right? And you also have to worry about them blowing the load way too early and then not being able to have anything else after that. Like, oh, well, what do we do after this? Oh, there's nothing. Okay.
You also have to worry about the actors beating up their wives or girlfriends.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
that was the saddest thing ever because that dude's a phenomenal actor.
Don't forget that at the end of the day, actors do age. What I love to see,
unless they're Hugh Jackman,
right? Not even Hugh Jackman, but I think Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man. He is the perfect actor for Iron Man. I don't think bringing him back would make sense, right? Like, I think he needs to
universe reset,
right? Universal reset and get a character that can play the part of that guy who can fit that part so well.
They could bring him back as a, how Friday is an interactive program, just hologram Tony. That happened in the comic books.
Yeah,
still gotta get him though.
Yeah,
but I mean, Robert Downey Jr. wouldn't have to do anything but be in front of a green screen.
There's
no wear and tear on your body for that act.
Yeah, of course. And I didn't even like the whole Star Wars bring back fucking
Luke.
Yeah, bring back Luke and stuff. Like, everyone was like, oh, the CGI looks so good and everything like that. It just still looked hokey to me, Like,
oh no, I meant like actually film Robert Downey Jr., not make him CGI. Like, film him and let him be the hologram, but that way he doesn't have to do the commitment of a movie that it would take.
Oh, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
What is he, like, almost 60 now? 60 something?
Yeah. It wouldn't fit.
It's just gonna be weird though when like Tom Holland's 50 and then we still don't have Iron Man in the universe.
Exactly,
you know what I mean? So they gotta.
That's why they need to milk him as much as they can. These characters, these characters age. These actors age. You gotta find that next it guy that can fill in those parts. Let's face it, T'Challa was the perfect cast. Iron Man was the perfect cast. Captain America was the perfect cast. You know what I mean?
Human Torch.
Torch. Let's just. We gotta have.
How do you feel about that though? Like, just shelving T'Challa, just in the universe right now.
They're more focused on his son. So I think
he'll
that's
get zapped with something and get aged up, and
so sure,
That's
whatever.
That's how
That,
they're
I'm all for
happens.
that. I'm all for that. Just focus on the
I
kid.
don't know. I mean, yeah.
Focus on the kid, because let's keep it a buck. As much as good as the actress was, she could not pick up the mantle to
Trudy, yeah.
yeah, Trudy to be after that. Again, the mother was the one, Angela Bassett, fucking knocked it out of the park.
Bro, I
Knocked
just
it out of
found
the
out
park.
that she was supposed to play Storm. I never knew that.
Really?
Yeah, Angela Bassett was the first like pick for Storm back in the
Super
first
Singer
X-Men
one.
movie.
Oh wow! You know what? That would have fit Storm's personality a little bit more than Halle Berry. But I like Halle Berry. I like Halle Berry's take on Storm. I think it was more relatable. I think it was more down to earth.
She was a very kind of passive.
Very passive Storm. She wasn't as aggressive. Absolutely.
Angela Bassett could be that one Storm. That
Absolutely. I think I like. Okay, so I absolutely love Halle Berry's take on Storm and her passiveness on it, but and I said this before, I don't like that Storm says all these things in order to make the storm come alive. You know what I mean? Like, she's like, oh, from the hills of the winds of the gods of the sky, I beseech you, come my wind, come. You have mutant powers. Just do the move. You don't need that. You need to say all that
She's
shit.
an African goddess. Of course she's gonna speech. Come on.
Well, please, it's so irritating. Just do the move. Do the move. So when Halle Berry does the stuff, she just did the stuff, and it worked out and it fit just fine. I think.
And
Halle Berry
did you notice like the 3 times that she slipped into an accent?
Oh no!
In the first one, yeah.
Oh no,
Yeah.
I didn't. Did she try to do that? I mean,
Yeah,
that's,
you can hear it. Like it feels like they did takes with the accent, and then we're like, no, that's bad. Don't do it.
It's very noticeable when she's talking to Senator Kelly when he's on the operating table.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, that could be a whole other discussion in itself, because honestly, you'd have to get into the realm of, well, why didn't they just hire an actual African female actress? So you gotta really, that's a whole other discussion in itself on Storm as a character itself, because Storm is a very unique character that has a build towards an entire culture that doesn't really fit Halle Berry in any way, shape, or form. So it probably should have been somebody else, if you're really talking about Angela Bassett and Halle Berry and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, who's gonna sell tickets?
Yes.
You need that star power at the end of the day. It doesn't give a fuck. They don't give a shit.
That's why Rogue was a teenager, because Anna Paquin was winning Oscars left and right.
Yeah.
They wrote her like Jubilee in that movie.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they did. I think that I think this is an actual good sign that once the numbers come in, I'm almost positive. I mean, I'm not going to jinx it or anything like that, but I'm almost positive this is going to make a lot of money. Disney is going to see the potential of what this cartoon is going to do, and we're going to get a lot more good stuff later on down the road. The problem is, where do we get more good writers? Because somebody in the chat said that what's his name wasn't the only writer on the show. Obviously, there were other writers.
They had people fleshing out like side stories and conversations and stuff like that. But the main storyboard, the direction, and the main story points were all Beau DeMayo.
Right. And you gotta give him credit for that. You're good credit where his credit's due, because he knocked it out of the park with this. I don't know how long he was sitting on a script like this powerful, but we need to see more stuff being fleshed out from what he can do and from what everyone else can put together along with what he's created. Because again, it's not just the writer, it's the director, it's the producer, it's the audio and the animation as well. Like everybody needs credit in this, not just him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
but if we're talking about story,
right? Yeah, and we're talking about story and stuff like that. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you, Kenny. Thank you, Bruce. Thank you, Splice.
Good to talk to you, fellas.
Indeed. This has been a phenomenal series, and I can't wait to see more. So we'll see you guys for hopefully season 2. we'll see what happens.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see what goes on. So
We're
until
coming
then,
back. We're coming back.
we'll definitely have these guys back on for the next time. So good times. Good times.
Yeah.
All right.
Magneto the GOAT.